and technology, whether we like it or not, really is the currency of our times. The way that religious knowledge back in medieval times defined who got access to what kinds of economic opportunities, what kind of scholarly opportunities, what was knowledge, the highest capital knowledge back then. Well, today it's science and technology. And so what is our role to help with sort of the redistribution of that knowledge and those opportunities, so that in fact, as science and technology grows in importance, it doesn't divide us more, but actually in some way brings us closer together?
First of all, that technology is a tool. I think we should not lose sight of that fact. A tool that allows us to connect and to interact, but the richness comes from the people-to-people interaction.
We really do need to use our influence more strongly. Our influence at the moment is very much in the family environment and with young children. But I think really the pressure and the needs to come very much onto politicians, that we need to be able to work more effectively with the political structure, the science community structure, to work through how we can best deliver outcomes for our society, particularly given the difficulties that we face.
Which are those other views and those other topics that science centers must be tackling, that are not just the pure science, but those that respond to social needs, to what people really are going through and what their view of life is. So
we need to become a science solution company that actually doesn't just operate from the venue. We can operate from anywhere. And that sense of it being a solutions company means we've got tremendous skills in-house of creativity, innovation, communications, but we need to use that more broadly, not just in the way that we run the venue.
The idea of what a group is has changed, and the group goes beyond the spatial place where they can meet.
It may not be institutional-based learning anymore, and that's interesting. If learning goes ubiquitous, then all of a sudden we're not the institutions of education anymore, but what then does the role of the institution become? And I would argue in the case of the scientist and the educator and the other, that at our best, what we are is really wonderful learning design houses.
There's this common phrase where they say that universities are the place where you learn how to think. And I think currently we are now at a stage and an age where we need to learn how to think critically at a much younger age. And I see the role of science centers as maybe not fully being intermediary between knowledge, but helping people more meaningfully access knowledge and more meaningfully co-create knowledge and more meaningfully think critically about what they see.
I mean, the internet is there, and what is going to happen at the internet and through the mobile phones, etc., is going to happen anyway, with us or without us. And I think that we have to be part of that, because that's an open forum. So we need to participate in the open forum. And we don't necessarily need to bring this into the place, but to rethink about us, what is our role in a society that communicates so easily, so fluidly? And then what should people come to our place for?
Certainly the movement towards having more open sort of learning environments and open source concepts is important, but I would caution you to question what are the networks that you need to create that are open, and what are the networks that you simply just need to be part of? Because there is a sort of a trend where everyone wants to be the platform and create the network, and there's so much saturation of new, and so it's important to question what's already out there that you want to contribute to as part of the sort of open sort of knowledge kind of community versus create yourself. Leveraging technology that's there, but really that we need to focus our efforts and focus the efforts of science centers towards tackling the insanely huge problems of our time. And I think that because young people are growing up with a greater awareness of the scarcity of resources and of the issues of our time, that it's both inherently possible that they have this sort of instinct to want to do something about it, but I think part of the role of science centers is to increase that sort of attention across different sectors, because the one position that science centers have is that they can connect with the private sector, with governments, with constituents across civil society. So I think that the ability to tackle a lot of these challenges can be increased Science Centers is somewhat of a convening group, rather than just educating the general public, but also to kind of bring different stakeholders together and help mobilize towards greater action.
The signs of our times is that people wanted to participate directly. And this is why all these strategies in internet and many others are so successful, because we all want to have a say.
I would just want to say that I don't believe that is at the expense of some of the more phenomenological approaches of our institutions and the basic science that is still very necessary for people to understand these more complex issues. To go straight to the answers or the modern day science without knowing certain things around sort of what is uncertainty, what is probability, what is the different sort of relationship between salt water and fresh water with ice, etc. That there is an important place about sort of the basic science still. We get criticized sometimes that we're 17th, 13th century physics institutions, but there's a lot of necessary things, I think, within our institutions that we have to draw out so that people can better evaluate these far more complex questions facing us today.